Blue Knights, it's time for our monthly safety message. And this month, we're going to talk some cornering strategy. To start this discussion, let's talk a little bit about curves. So riding through curves can be a lot of fun, but crash studies show running off the road accounts for many crashes. We want to use good judgment to stay within our limits, be sure to have good entry speed, and maintain our safety margins. So there are three general curve types. We have a constant radius, which has the same curvature throughout. We have an increasing radius, which has the curve open up. And then we have our decreasing radius, which has the curve close up and become progressively tighter, like an entrance to an on-ramp to an interstate or those types of things. There are three general curve parts as well. You have entry, apex, and exit. Entry, which is the first part of the curve. Apex, which is the middle or sharpest point in our path around the curve. And then we have exit, which is the last part of the curve. There are also three general lane positions. We have our outside lane position, which is furthest away from the center line in a left-hand curve, or nearest the center line in a right-hand curve. The middle, which is the middle of our lane. And then we have the inside path, which is nearest the center line in a left-hand curve and farthest from the center line in a right-hand curve. Using three curve parts and three lane positions, we have to do some math now, we have 27 options going through a curve. To illustrate, you could use a general strategy of middle, middle, middle. That's middle on entry, middle in the middle of the lane at the apex, and then middle at exit. This provides space on both sides of our lane throughout our curve. Or we could use, like this shows here, this diagram, a performance type strategy of outside, inside, outside, which reduces the lean angle required and allows us to see further through our curve, but it gets us closer to the center line and shoulder. For any strategy we use, having a good entry speed is crucial so that we don't have to make any major speed or lane position adjustments in the curve. Because there are many variables while negotiating a curve, we have many choices. So let's get into some tips. Our strategy is search, setup, smooth. Okay? So search, what does that mean? That means observe roadway warning signs that inform us of curve direction and sharpness. Hitting the posted speed limit might help. Look far ahead as you can to see what is beyond the curve and whether there are more curves or elevation changes. Sometimes our tree lines can help us determine what is coming up. If we can't see the exit, predict the curve radius tightens up and hold entry speed farther into the curve. Consider the potential for oncoming traffic, right? Consider factors that could affect speed and lane position, and note road conditions, like the surface. There may be gravel or oil on the roadway, near the shoulder. The roadway might be cracked, broken, uneven. We've been on those country roads before, right? Or any road. Notice if the road is crowned or higher in the middle, or off camber, which is higher on one side. These roads can affect our cornering clearance. For very sharp curves, search for approaching vehicles that could be over the center line, right? We don't like cars that hog that center line. So the next part of this is setup. Setup means consider our entry, speed, and our line. We want to predict the worst to get the best results. For instance, imagine an obstacle is blocking our lane, or there's gravel on the surface just beyond where you can see. Set our entry speed accordingly. That's what we want to do. Choose an entry speed and select a gear to provide the most options for adjustment if you encounter any of these conditions. You do not want to suddenly change gears or make abrupt speed changes in a curve. Have a smooth transition from approach speed to entry speed. We want to consider a middle lane position that provides space on both sides of the lane. And when using an outside, inside, outside strategy, consider a late turn-in. It's a delayed apex to avoid running wide. Have an escape path throughout our curve. Be able to stop in a distance we can see, right? And then the last part of search, setup, smooth is smooth, right? Refers primarily to any speed adjustment, whether it's in a straight line or in a curve, and its effect on path of travel, suspension, and traction. Smoothly and precisely using the controls. In a left-hand curve, avoid getting too close to the center line so that we're not leaning over it. Avoid the need to brake hard in a curve, as the motorcycle will typically want to stand up and take a wider path if you do that. If you need to lean a lot in a curve, place the balls of your feet on the footrests to keep your boots from touching the ground. If we find ourselves running wide in a turn, we want to look farther through the turn and press more on the inside hand grip to increase lean. It also helps to move our upper body to the inside of the turn so that our motorcycle will stay more upright and not scrape parts. Lean forward and in to your turn, in whichever direction you're going would be the strategy. So if you enjoyed any of this information that I shared, it comes right from the Motorcycle Safety Foundation. Get it from the Rider Handbook. We encourage you to get trained and get some refresher classes, and MSF classes provide that to you. As always, we want you to gear up for every ride, and we want you to ride safe. Thanks for watching.